I've always wondered why people say, what's going on YouTube? When the truth is, people are viewing this video one by one. So I say to you, good evening, young man. Good evening, young lady. Good evening, gentlemen. And good evening, whatever the equivalent is for a more mature lady. The video I posted on TikTok the other day, if you've seen it, caused a great deal of controversy. 5 red flags of women that you should avoid. And it's actually turned out to be 6 red flags, because I gave a bonus one. So I thought I would make a YouTube video to elaborate on each of the points, because yes, the video that I made for TikTok it lacked explanation. It has to lack explanation. It's a maximum of 60 seconds. So here we will explore all of the different red flags that I mentioned on TikTok, so that you young men can avoid making the same mistakes so many of us, including myself, have made in the past of pairing up with inadequate women. Women that are, frankly speaking, write-offs, that you shouldn't go anywhere near. It's not your problem to fix them. And if they don't like it, tough cheddars. They can sort themselves out. It's not your business to sort themselves out. And so, without further ado, we will jump straight into it. So, I have my notes here that I will refer to every now and again. The first red flag. Her mother has had multiple failed long-term relationships. Now, when I first said this, people were up in arms. What's her mother got to do with her? How can you punish a girl, the daughter, because of what her mother did? Yes, it seems unfair on the surface of things, but the truth of the matter is children imitate their parents. It's the reason why we as parents do our best to not swear in front of children, to not put inappropriate programs on in front of children. We monitor our language, our behavior. Why do we do that? Because children pick up on everything. Children don't do what you say. They do as you do. So with that in mind, it is a perfectly logical conclusion to draw that if a woman has had multiple failed long-term relationships and her daughter or daughters are witnessing this, what lesson do you think they're learning from their mum? I'll tell you what lesson they're learning. They look at their mum and they see, right, mum's gotten married, mum's gotten divorced. Mum's gotten married again, mum's gotten divorced again, mum's gotten married again, and she's perfectly fine. She survived every time. So what's the big deal? If a relationship gets tough, then we'll just take the divorce option. And this is a monumental mistake, a huge error in judgment. And I have personally had one lady say to me, she said to me, and this lady, just to give you some background, her mother, classic case, has had multiple failed long-term relationships, multiples. And the daughter of this woman, this lady who had this conversation with me, she said to me, I don't believe a marriage can last any longer than 10 years. She said it outright. I said, how can you say that? She said, I just don't. It's just like, you come towards the end of, the marriage reaches the end of its steam and it runs out of steam, and then that's it. You start again, you start afresh. But what's the problem here? You've got children in the picture. Children who will be harmed and damaged by this. And you can see when a mother has gone through multiple failed marriages, it starts to become generational. And if you come across a girl, by the way, who has a lineage of mums, of single mums, her mother was a single mum, her grandmother was a single mum, they all had multiple failed long-term relationships. This is toxic waste. Stay far away from it. This is Hiroshima. This is a nuclear toxic city. Don't touch it. I don't care how beautiful she is. I don't care how big her body is. I don't care about none of that. She is gonna drive you nuts. It's generational. Sadly, this girl, it's best that she stays single. She probably won't, but it's best that she does. And in the least instance, She needs to go and seek professional therapy. But most don't, because we live in a society that likes to soften our mistakes. You're beautiful as you are. You should accept me as I am. Hell to the no should I accept you as you are. You are flawed to the teeth, as are we all. If I start walking around telling myself and the world that I'm perfectly fine, there's nothing wrong with me, then what's going to happen? I'm not going to actively pursue ironing out my faults. So stay away from those girls who come from either their mothers have had multiple failed long-term relationships, but particularly those that are generational, grandmother and mother. Those ones right there, more red flags than a Chinese communist parade, as Rich Cooper would say. Stay far away from them. Right, that's number one. Number two, she has the need to be right. And I actually picked this up from Kevin Samuels. Check him out on YouTube. He's harsh, but some of his videos, many of his videos, are very good. The need to be right is a disease, is a sickness, is an ailment, is a cancer. And you can remember this. You can remember this acronym that I'm about to give you, SIGN. SIGN. Because of her need to be right, which forms the N of sign, because of her undying need to prove you wrong, she will shame you, the S. She will insult you, the I. And she will guilt trip you, the G. Just so that she can be right and fulfill her need to be right. These type of women, wash your hands of them. If you're in contact with who fits this description right now, and you're butting heads constantly because she has an undying need to be right on everything, you need to understand something. This stems from her insecurity. She has deep-rooted insecurities that not you or anyone can get rid of. She doesn't love herself. And no amount of love that you give her will fix her. Stay away. It's not your problem, my guy. It's not your problem. That's number two. Number three, equality. There's a popular notion that is circulating now in 2020 that men and women are equal. No, we are not equal. There is equality and there is equity. Yes, we have differing portions of equity in the relationship, but we do not have equality. And I'll tell you why. How many generals are there of an army? How many CEOs are there of a company? How many presidents are there of a country? And how many prime ministers are there of a country? You want me to go on? There is only ever one. Why? Why is that? Because too many cooks spoil the broth. If you have two CEOs who want to implement two different ideas in the business, they will quite literally tear the business apart. If you had two presidents, they would tear the country apart. If you had two army generals, they would tear the army apart with their different ways of thinking. There can only ever be one. And as a man, that's you. You're the CEO, you're the general, you're the president, you're the prime minister. Now, does that mean that we just ignore our women and pay no attention to what they have to say to us? No, of course not. That's not what I'm saying. There will be times, many times, when your partner, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever your relationship setup is, will be better informed on a topic than you. Maybe it's something to do with the kids. Something happened whilst you were out. You can't make a knee-jerk reaction without addressing her first and finding out what happened. Just as a general will address his subordinates, a president will address his deputy, vice president, and all of the other high-level executives. In the case of a business or a company, the CEO will discuss with his executives. He needs that information from them because they're closer to the front line than he is. So we are not saying to disregard our women. But what we are saying is, once all the information has come in and it's all been collected and we're good to go, ultimately, one man and one man only has the final say. As a man, that's you. There is no equality in this regard. Once you've collected your information, you must make a decision as the leader of your household. It's impossible for it to be 50-50. You will tear the household apart. And your woman should respect you by now to accept this, even if it's against her will. There are times when the president makes a decision that is against the will of many. When a CEO makes a decision that is against the will of many executives in the company. When a general makes a decision that is against the will of his lieutenants. It happens. That's life. But you are the leader. You are the man of the house. You, not her. So we don't disrespect her. We don't disregard her. But when it's all said and done and the information has come in and you've got everything you need to know, the onus is upon you to have that final say. Number 4. She's an attention whore. This doesn't require too much information. If you come across a woman who has an undying need to be at the center of attention, such that if she is not in a gathering of people, the center of attention, she becomes upset and jealous and starts snickering about this woman and backbiting about that one and making snidey comments left and right. This woman has a supreme level of jealousy. Stay far away from her. Also, if she's posting provocative pictures of herself on social media, she's got her cleavage out on Instagram, she's wearing tight trousers, the form of her backside can be seen. If she's posting provocative pictures, this once again comes down to her need for attention. But worse than that, she's doing this because she doesn't view you as her first choice. She doesn't see you as her first choice. If she did, she wouldn't have a need for validation, because that's what it is, for validation from the wider community. And if you women don't like this, then this is what I'll say to you. If you want to put these pictures up on social media, then you best be okay with your man following these IG models and liking and commenting on their pictures. If you don't like that, then don't do it yourself. And then you try and twist it back on us and say we're the insecure ones. We're the insecure ones because you're putting pictures up of yourself and we're not secure in ourselves. But when it comes to us liking, following, commenting on IG models, bikini models, who's the insecure one now? What type of double standard is this? So my guy, if she's posting provocative pictures of herself on social media, beautifying herself, she's doing this because she doesn't quite see you as her first choice. She's marketing herself, advertising herself, putting herself out there in the hopes that she can find a better deal than you. Red flag. Stay far away. Number 5. She has daddy issues. This is a big one. The very first relationship a girl forms with the opposite gender is her father. The very first relationship that she forms with the opposite gender is with her father. It's an extremely important relationship. And if, for whatever reason, she has a dysfunctional relationship with her father, such that they're not talking to each other, they got beef with each other, immediately she's a write-off. And I'll tell you why. Because this crucial figure, this very first individual of the opposite sex, whom she was meant to connect with, has forever tainted her impression, her image of men. Her image of men has been severely compromised because of the malactions of her father. And it might not even necessarily be his malactions. It might just be them butting heads and not seeing eye to eye for whatever reason. And as a result of that, she doesn't like him. She doesn't want anything to do with him, and so on. Now, I'm not saying this is irreversible to you ladies watching this and your hearts have sunk. I'm not saying this is irreversible, but you need to seek therapy. You need to find out, how can I reconcile my relationship with my father? Is it reconcilable? Maybe it's not. Maybe he's a junkie, crackhead, alcoholic. I don't know what your situation is. But either way, you need therapy, professional therapy, so that you can work through these issues that have built up. And don't try and diagnose yourself. Don't try and self-diagnose and say, there's nothing wrong with me. Man, everyone thinks there's nothing wrong with them. No junkie ever said, I've got a problem. He's living in hope. He doesn't think that the next shot will kill him. He doesn't take that injection of heroin thinking that immediately afterwards he's going to die. No, he's not thinking that. We are not qualified. We are not qualified to self-diagnose. So if you have a compromised relationship with your father, you need therapy, my young lady. You need therapy. Even if you're an older lady, you need therapy. And young man, you should stay far away. It's not her fault that she's got daddy issues, but it's not your problem to come and sort it out for her. You're not her knight in shining armor. It's not your beef. It's not your problem. Move on. There's plenty of other girls out there without these issues. Why are you gonna give yourself a headache and try and link up with one of these ones? And finally, she feels the need to announce to the world that she is strong and independent. And once again, I took this from Kevin Samuels. If she feels the need to tell the world that she is strong and independent, then guess what? She is the polar opposite of that. And to better understand this, if you can go back to Game of Thrones, when Joffrey stands up and shouts to everyone, I'm the king, in anger. Tywin comes over, walks over to him and says, whoever needs to say I'm the king is not the king. If you need to say you're the king, if you need to say you're the man of the house, if you need to say you're strong and independent, it's because you're papering over the fact that you're weak and dependent. That's what that is. So, gentlemen, don't get it twisted. These red flags, if you're in a relationship with a girl right now, you'll be able to see them clear as day. You might be emotionally compromised right now because you're in your lovey-dovey state. I want to save you months, years, decades, potentially a lifetime of hardship by sharing these red flags with you. Because if you don't and you decide to marry one of these girls who have one or more of these red flags, you are in for a roller coaster of a ride. And these are not all of them, by the way. There's more. There's more red flags than this. These are not all of them. But these ones right here are enough for you. Just remember, has her mother had multiple long-term relationships? Red flag. Does she have a need to be right? Red flag. Is she demanding equality, 50-50 decision-making? Red flag. Is she an attention whore? Red flag. Does she have daddy issues? Red flag. Does she claim to be strong and independent? Red flag. Stay far away. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you very much. I appreciate it. This is my first YouTube video. Hopefully there'll be many more to come. Please like and subscribe. Feel free to comment in the comment section if you want clarification. If you want to hate, please do so. It boosts the algorithm. I'm all for hate comments. If you want to have an academic discussion, if you're a lady watching this right now, a young lady, and you want to have an academic discussion, let's have an academic discussion. We can do that. Young man, if you want to learn more, hit me up in the comments and we'll have a discussion. Thank you very much. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.